is the Bengals at the Redskins. This line opened up Redskins -2. Still 2 in some places, but it's off the board in others. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe someone tested positive or something. I think I heard a Redskin player test positive. I don't know who it was. Anyway, I would assume it's going to stay Redskins -2. So who do you like in this game?
Yeah, so it was Matt Ioannidis, their talented defensive tackle, who is out for the season with a bicep injury. So I doubt that this line moves because of that. He's been on IR for a while, so I don't think he's even really been near anyone or any high-risk contacts. With that said, I like the Bengals in this one. I do think Washington matches up very well with the Bengals. They have the pass rush needed to rattle Joe Burrow. And, when we've seen him struggle this year, it's been against teams like the Steelers that have a really great pass rush. And Washington, I believe, is top 5 in the league in sacks per game. I think they average around 3.1. They have like 5 first-rounders on that line. So it's obviously very good. And I do think they'll get some pressure on Burrow. But my concerns are more about, are they going to be able to continue to move the ball on offense with the system they're using? They did very well against the Lions. Alex Smith threw for a career high 390 yards. But he did check the ball down a lot to J.D. McKissick. So I wonder if teams were just going to focus on taking McKissick away and make Smith beat him deep, which he's capable of doing. But, it's a little bit tougher for him, especially because he never had a strong arm to begin with. So that'll be one thing to watch there. Also, Washington tends to fall behind early. I mentioned that earlier. They fall behind early, make these heroic comebacks, and then fall short in the end, except in week 1 versus the Eagles when they completed it. So I think that's going to work against them too, because I could imagine if they come out flat on defense, Joe Burrow could put up some very quick points on them. And then the big factor in here, Washington's pretty much out of the playoff race, even though they're technically alive in the NFC East. Thursday, they get to play the Cowboys in Dallas in a game that's very winnable for Washington. They could pull off a season sweep of the Cowboys, beat them on Thanksgiving, and, really make those Cowboys fans sad. So I think that there's going to be a lot of motivation for that game. So this one against the Bengals, who they only see every 4 years, this one's going to get overlooked a little bit because there's no real rivalry angle from this unless they're like, yeah, we're going to beat Jay Gruden's former team for subjecting us to 6 years of torture under him. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I like the Bengals as the underdog here. Like I said, I could see Washington winning this game, but I think too many things have to go right, and I think they might be distracted by that potential meeting with the Cowboys. And if they get a season sweep of the Cowboys, this year is going to be viewed as a win, even if it's a rebuilding year.
Yeah, they might be the first team to ever look ahead to a 2-7 opponent. That's just like the sad state of the NFC East. I'm right there with you with the Bengals as well. The advanced line was pick 'em, and now it's 2, and that's not crossing any key numbers, but it's just weird that the line would move up. I kind of get it because the Bengals got blown out at Pittsburgh, and the public was on the Bengals in that game. And then the Redskins almost beat the Lions, even though the Lions aren't quite as good as people think they are because they have so many injuries. So I don't agree with this line move because the Bengals, they've done very well this year, except for the 2 games where they had to play on the road against the Ravens and the Steelers. Joe Burrow has done very well otherwise since week 2. Where they kind of started to air it out more, and then T. Higgins has emerged. And I just think that Joe Burrow should do well against the Redskins. And I know people are going to be like, oh, Washington has a great pass defense. That's all I heard going into the weekend. And I kind of look at the quarterbacks they played so far, except for Kyler Murray, Carson Wentz, who stinks this year, Baker Mayfield, who's just below average, Lamar Jackson, who's struggled this year as a passer, Jared Goff, who I don't really like at all, and Goff had a good game, and then Daniel Jones twice. Those are the quarterbacks they faced this year. So it's no wonder they're second against the pass. Stafford lit them up, even though he's missing Kenny Golladay. So I think Joe Burrow should do just as well. So when factoring that in, plus the possible look-ahead situation, I think the Bengals should be should win this game. I think they should be favored by field goal. So I definitely like Cincinnati.
Yeah, that number 2 pass defense is an absolute mirage because a lot of what happened too in those games when they lost to Cleveland, they committed 5 turnovers. So teams didn't have to drive very far to get points. Same thing happened against the Giants in the game that Kyle Allen got hurt. There were 5 turnovers. So they had a couple of massive turnover games where the teams just didn't have to move the ball that much. So I've been talking about that with my boss a little bit because it's like, yeah, Washington has a top 2 pass defense, and it's like, yeah, it's a little bit of a mirage though. Like maybe don't start the guy who's going up mostly against Kendall Fuller in fantasy, but the rest of that secondary can be beaten.
Yeah, and Landon Collins is out too. He's missed the past few games, so definitely it's just going to get worse. And if Matt Ioannidis has been missing as well, so definitely down some personnel. And I think that that pass ranking probably will be like around 14, 15, 16 by the end of the year. I think. I guess I don't know which quarterbacks they play after this. Outside of I know they have to play Carson Wentz again, and then they play Andy Dalton, so it's like could get better, but I don't know who else they play. So we'll figure that out.